Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scandal, we can't buy time. You can't fool me again. Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. Hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch up line and a resort to crime. You can't fool me again.
What people do in no money, what they at you, in no at you. Covid money, miss away in the yellow correct you. Use the youth, the money, waste and must have mantis statue. Say me like a catch you, but me got in a figure you. Take this print of money, God and say that is not you. One day the man above him up, him a got a bed. Too much it in the kitchen, some a fly by like a patu. When singers and DJs and social media's coming at you.
It burn me.
300% free.
It burn me.
Garbage pile up the day.
It burn me.
Give the teacher them raise.
It burn me.
I see corruption peace.
It burn me.
Mash down the people them house.
It burn me.
Every day appear arms out.
It burn me.
Appear money them a thief.
It burn me.
And them a sell out the beach.
Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scandal, we can't buy time. You can't fool me again. Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch up line and a resort to crime. You can't fool me again.
For me say big up all the charities and all of the givers. Some a go like say them powerful, me no make a bigger. The 100 promises, none of them not deliver. Cut up the youth, they rap and they down in a whatever. Member bowl only and they lie them tell. Corruption smell and they pocket them swell. When police don't a market like Satan out of hell, go mash up people start like thief when them sell.
It burn me.
Or they treat the market man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat the cat man.
It burn me.
Or they treat the peanut man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat the dirt man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat the sun man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat policeman.
It burn me.
Or them a treat soldier man.
It burn me.
How them a treat everyone.
Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scandal, we can't buy time. You can't fool.
Stibby dim day. We in Global TV says certain kind of friend we no cape. And some informer friend we love lake. We in Global, bona fake friend and bona tape. We in Global, we not promote them, we not support them. Look at them on the cheek, come here represent for. We in Global TV, check it.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the moral decadence of our country, to my community of parity and all my family members, platform moderators, membership holders, viewers, subscribers, commenters, and trolls. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Like and share the live, please. And we're continuing with the theme of what is in our headline, the political debacle of, the Prime Minister's downfall and the slinging of mud back and forth of both parties with regards to the Eastern Portland selection. JLP is quoting morals. Don't know what they mean. Head teacher Wagwan, long time no see how you do. Don't know what they mean. Don't know what them a talk about. But when them get around to it, they will tell you what them a talk. But me don't know if you notice Dana Dixon wash the wig, starch it, and put it back on. You don't notice? Or me one just have my eye on Dana Dixon head all the time. So Dana Dixon wash the wig, starch it, and put it back on. I lie me I tell. Look on there now, Indian picture them at India. And tell me if they don't wash and starch the wig and put back on. But we're going to chat along through with slide. We are going to chat along to our slide. Chat along to our slide.
Members of Parliament for Western Centamos, Mr. James Robertson. Members of Parliament for Eastern Centamos, Mrs. Michelle Chow.
Head teacher K, there's a word coming up. Listen carefully and help us to give a definition to this word, please.
Bennett. Members of Parliament for Western Centamos, Mr. James Robertson. Members of Parliament for Eastern Centamos, Mrs. Michelle Charles. My fellow councillors, ladies and gentlemen, and citizens of the wonderful parish, good afternoon. I stand before you today humbled and honored to be your mayor. This is not just a victory for me, but for all of us who believe in community prosperity and unity. As your mayor, I pledge to serve each of you with dedication, dignity, and integrity. Serve each of you with dedication, dignity, and integrity. Serve each of you with dedication, dignity. I pledge to serve each of you with dedication, dignity, and integrity. Together, we will work to address the challenges facing our parish to build a brighter future. As your mayor, I pledge to serve each of you with dedication, dignity, and integrity. Together, we will work to address the challenges facing our parish to build a brighter future for our generation to come. I believe in potential of our parish and its ability.
Head teacher Casey, if you provide us one definition, please. Try and help us. For a long time we over here work it out. And we still don't fully decide what it mean. We still can't decide what it mean. Anybody who can help, jump in and help. But the JLP, them at it. The saga continue of the hypocrisy surrounding Eastern Portland. But JLP believe certain things to the rest away and make the rest away talk about it because JLP don't have the credibility to talk about things like these. When the biggest debacle in our country at the moment is a sitting prime minister who is under investigation for illicit enrichment. Mayor, what's it a rather ons you are? When I say East Portland candidate have a criminal past. East Portland candidate has a criminal past. How much I don't have? Even though someone evade justice, how much of you all do not have? Or politics on both sides of the coin, if we are to speak the truth, is riddled with criminal. Not just one side. Both sides aligned to gangs and dons, the truth be told. And about the JLP, the WikiLeaks document alone talk about. Speak about both sides of them. But James Robertson did name Babsy was named. Horace Chang was named. So one of us stop the criminal argument and then talk about the issue at hand, which is the Prime Minister statutory declaration. The Prime Minister been referred to for investigation for all sort of which part we don't know where him getting money from. That is the issue at hand. Uno couldn't dodge, uno couldn't creep. All right, that one you say. That one you say. Him instruct his lawyer to take action over disparaging marks about him US visa. Oh, you're so low class, Darryl. Darryl, oh, you're so low class. And because we say a B1, B2 visa, you get back, and the US did take away your visa because you did involve in a criminality, and that hurt you. When you instruct your lawyer, tell him, say, we are talking about Diane Smith too. We want to know what was Diane Smith's last word. We want to know them things that were Darryl Vaz. And don't make your visa alone hurt you. Make it hurt you that you're a rapist and an unaliver. Darryl Vaz. Tell your lawyer if you tell if you stop call up Diane Smith's name, Darryl Vaz. About visa, disparaging remarks. Disparaging remarks about my visa. So what? Didn't they take it away? Didn't they take it away? Have you got back a diplomatic visa? And that hurt you? Or not have a way of everybody want to use instructing my lawyer and defamation to silent people. My mouth look like it cut straight way. A straight way mouth people alone and can't shut up. A cross way mine cut. And it I use for the very cutting purpose where I use where cut for. So don't come and go on like we mouth cut straight way. Darryl Vaz. What happened to Diane? What happened to Diane Smith? Who assisted your father in the cover-up of that crime, Mr. Vaz? Instruct your lawyer to tell us to stop calling Diane Smith's name about disparaging remarks. And that's all hot you, Darryl Vaz? Is that the only thing that Darryl Vaz can be bothered about at the moment, that we're speaking in a disparaging way about his visa? Was it not taken away, Darryl? Have you received a diplomatic visa since? We're not stop trying to use defamation and instructions to lawyers to shut us up. It is the very same thing Andrew Holness is doing at the moment with the courts. Rather than following the law, rather than show us that he's running a government with integrity, he's a leader with integrity, he's using the court to muzzle the parliament and the public by extension.
So calling on parliamentarians, they said to urgently sign the leadership code of conduct on which the integrity.
There's no need for that.
Why?
Because we have signed code of conduct before. Before you know it, you want to sign 12 code of conduct.
But if the Integrity Commission has asked for signature, why would you not?
No, because we have other codes of conduct which we have already signed from the very beginning.
But that doesn't negate signing another one.
No. I mean, as far as we're concerned, sign the code of conduct is neither here nor there when we have already committed to the integrity in public life. And we've signed that we got assigned or appointed as members of the cabinet. We signed those documents. I mean, to have something that the IT provide is neither here nor there.
I'm Angela Braunberg, Member of Parliament for St. Andrew Southwestern, and I signed the Code of Conduct for Parliamentarians in 2023.
I am Luther Cousins, Member of Parliament for Clarendon Southwestern, and I signed the Code of Conduct for Parliamentarians in 2023.
Denise Daly, Member of Parliament, St. Catherine Eastern. I signed the Code of Conduct for Parliamentarians in 2023.
I am Mark Golding, Leader of the Opposition and MP for South St. Andrew, and I signed the Code of Conduct for Parliamentarians in 2023.
Hugh Graham, MP for St. Catherine Northwestern, signed the Code of Conduct for Parliamentarians in 2023.
I am Maurice Guy, Member of Parliament for St. Mary Central. I signed the Code of Conduct for Parliamentarians in 2023.
Lisa Hanna, MP for South East St. Anne, signed the Code of Conduct for Parliamentarians in 2023.
I am Anthony Hilton, Member of Parliament for St. Andrew Western, and I signed the Code of Conduct for Parliamentarians in 2023.
I am Fitz Jackson, Member of Parliament for St. Catherine Southern, and I have signed the Code of Conduct for Parliamentarians in 2023.
I am Natalie Nita Garvey, Member of Parliament, North Central St. Catherine, and I signed the Code of Conduct in 2023.
I am Philip Paulwell, MP for Kingston East and Port Royal, and I signed the Code of Conduct for Parliamentarians in 2023.
I am Michael Phillips, Member of Parliament for Manchester Northwestern, and I signed the Code of Conduct for Parliamentarians in 2023.
I am Julian Robinson, Member of Parliament for South East St. Andrew, and I have signed the Code of Conduct for Parliamentarians in 2023.
You heard in the earlier part of that video, Delroy Chuck tell you, signing the Integrity Commission Code of Conduct is neither here nor there. They cannot commit themselves to signing the Integrity Code of Conduct. But they can be using the court to strong arm questions, debate. How long it's going to take before the Prime Minister go to court to try to silence the media? So we can't talk about it. How long will it be before Andrew Holness take a case to court to silence the media? Because he take a case to court to silence a commission that investigate public officials. Andrew Holness want the Corruption Prevention Act, Section 14, subsection 5, struck out because it worked against the Prime Minister. This Prime Minister has been a member of Parliament way before this legislation. This Prime Minister was a part of a member of the legislature while this piece of legislation was going through Parliament in 2001. Did the Prime Minister have any issue on record with the Corruption Prevention Act at the time? All of a sudden, it works. It done good. It was the same thing when the Office of the Political Ombudsman worked against Michelle Charles. Because uno lot upper St. Thomas a criminal, you know. Uno St. Thomas lot are criminals. It look like the whole honor were on St. Thomas a criminal, uno be. That's why Dr. Monroe, Professor Monroe, wrote to Andrew the way they tell Andrew in the Gleaner, look, man, you've been sacking your MPs every time they make a blunder. From J.C. Hutchinson right up to Everard Warmington to protect standards and ethics in public life. Now when it falls to you, you're going to the court to tell the court that the commission is wrong. The law is no longer valid. And Jamaicans don't see the danger ahead. How long we've been saying that this man is a dictator. What this man is doing is only done by dictators. And nobody still now wake up. Everybody's still going like it's hunky-dory and it's okay.
Given by the lawyers for this judicial review?
I think a better question might be, what are not some of the reasons? Because the lawyers and Mr. Holness have thrown the entire kitchen sink at this application to apply for judicial review. He is alleging, and just to make the point, that judicial review is when you ask the court to exercise its supervisory power over, in this case, the Integrity Commission. So they want the Integrity Commission, they want the Supreme Court to make a number of orders and declarations. Essentially, they want the report struck out, except for the part in which the Director of Corruption Prosecution says that no charges should be laid against Mr. Holness. They want declarations that the Integrity Commission acted outside of its powers, that it acted unlawfully, a whole bunch of declarations. And they're saying this on the basis of the fact that they're saying that the Integrity Commission acted unfairly in relation to its investigation into the statutory declaration. They're saying there was illegality here. They're saying that the Integrity Commission acted ultra vires, means outside of its statutory powers. And they're also alleging breaches of constitutional rights. They're saying the Integrity Commission breached privacy laws, breached the data protection law. They're also very, very interesting. I don't think I've seen this before. What we're seeing here is a prime minister, a legislator, asking the court to strike out Section 14(5) of the Corruption Prevention Act, which is a section that establishes the offense of illicit enrichment.
Oh my goodness. So we have so much to get through, but I want to go back to that earlier story where the opposition attempted to move a motion of no confidence, and one of the reasons given is that the matter is sub judice. What can you tell us about that?
I tell you something. I generally think that the sub judice rule, in terms of how we interpret in Jamaica, meaning before the court, therefore you shouldn't discuss it, that the whole thing needs to be revisited. I think it's a way of shutting down legitimate discussion. Having said that, I actually agree with Deputy Speaker Clark, not on the basis of the fact that it's sub judice per se, but on the basis of the separation of powers. The Parliament and the courts are also always very careful not to seem to be intruding on each other's jurisdiction. And in a case where a matter now is before the court, it's inevitable that if there is a debate on that no confidence motion in respect to Mr. Holness and how he acted in relation to this investigation, they are going to get into discussing matters that the court is going to be considering, and I can understand that the Parliament would want to steer clear of that.
And all of this is also happening at a time when the commissioners of the Integrity Commission will face the Joint Select Committee looking at the amendments to the Integrity Commission Act 2017. What this now means for the discussions tomorrow?
Well, I did read earlier that the the meeting had been pushed back perhaps to sometime next week. But as you know, Janella, we were hoping that the commissioners would now come and explain what they did in relation to this report, why it came out, how it came out, you know, why they didn't bring in the FID and tax admin before. All those questions we were hoping would have been answered. But I think with this matter now being before the court, I am going to go out on a limb and say it's almost inevitable that the commissioners are going to refuse to answer any questions in relation to the report because, as you said, the matter is now before the court. They're now going to have to defend all of this.
First of all, what are some of the reasons given by the lawyers for this judicial review?
So you see how far Wholeness is prepared to go. But may I go and play a James video while me alter my slide, please. Give me a bit.
Parliament of Jamaica. It was the latest in an unbroken string. A member of the conservative Jamaica Labour Party has survived a political career that would have derailed many. He was re-elected in 2012 when a backlash against the JLP's association with a drug trafficker forced the Prime Minister to resign, and the rival People's National Party, PNP, nearly swept the elections. When he tried to push out his party's leader in 2013 and lost, he kept his deputy leader position in the party anyway. But those episodes were child's play compared to what he faced in 2010. That year the U.S. State Department revoked Robertson's visa for reasons never made public. Then he was accused of murder. The accusations against him dominated headlines in Jamaica. But Robertson was never charged and has denied the accusations, attributing them to political enemies. He's never been charged, let alone convicted. His accuser, a small businessman, has left the country. Officials made no comments. The news media eventually dropped the story. The matter seemed to simply disappear. Until now. Leslie Leigh Green, a former assistant commissioner of police for the Jamaican Constabulary Force who has since retired, revealed to the Miami Herald that he investigated accusations that Robertson tried to arrange at least 2 murders, and found enough evidence that he recommended that prosecutors charge the politician. Investigations have been conducted alleging serious offenses against Robertson and others, said Green, who is English and a former Scotland Yard detective. In 2006, the Jamaican government hired him on contract to help professionalize the force. The Department of Public Prosecutions made a ruling there was sufficient evidence to charge Robinson. But after carefully assembling his case, Green said, Jamaica's Ministry of National Security refused to offer to protect one of the key witnesses. The witness fled, and the case fell apart. The guilt or innocence of Robertson aside, the episode highlights a problem holding the powerful accountable in a region dogged by violence. The UN's Caribbean Human Development Report noted in 2012 that Latin America and the Caribbean made up 8.5% of the world's population, but tallied 27% of its homicides. Jamaica has the highest homicide rate in the Caribbean. Day at the dealership. On a sunny afternoon in 2008, Ian Johnson was finalizing the purchase of a silver Mitsubishi Pajero at Motor Sales of Jamaica when he saw James Robertson enter the dealership. Johnson owned 2 convenience stores and a construction company in St. Thomas, the parish Robertson represented in Parliament. He was active in the JLP and had raised money for Robertson's previous campaigns. Robertson beckoned me aside, Johnson said in a sworn statement filed by his Fort Lauderdale lawyer and attached to an application for asylum in the United States. We walked a few feet away from the sales rep that I was talking to, Johnson said in the sworn statement. Robertson told him he was having problems with a businessman in St. Thomas. The rival businessman's name was Cecil Riley, known locally as Petrol. Specifically, he asked me to arrange to kill Petrol Cecil Riley, Johnson said in his statement. Johnson said he was shocked and left without giving an answer. Robertson did not respond to repeated requests for comment by email and telephone. His lawyer at the time, Patrick Bailey, said, he's not going to talk about that. To the Jamaican news media, however, and in a court document, Robertson acknowledged Johnson's allegations but vehemently denied them. He ultimately would file a libel suit against Johnson's lawyer. A few weeks after the encounter, 2 gunmen shot Riley dead outside a nightclub he owned in St. Thomas. Even by Jamaican standards, Robertson's alleged request stood out. Robertson was not just a member of Parliament, he was the country's Minister of Energy and Mining. He was in his 40s and the deputy leader and a rising star of the JLP. In addition, he would seem to make an unlikely criminal. He is from a prominent Kingston family. They own a shipping company and cold storage facilities. Robertson himself had gone to high school in England and then graduated from Southern Methodist University in Texas in 1988. He was a polo-playing socialite. By the mid-2000s, however, the young politician's rise had caught the attention of Jamaican and U.S. officials for the wrong reasons. A 2005 diplomatic cable sent by the U.S. Embassy in Jamaica and obtained by WikiLeaks stated that like many Jamaican politicians of whatever party affiliation, Robertson is known to associate with criminal elements. A 2007 cable obtained by WikiLeaks stated that sources told the Drug Enforcement Administration that Robertson was involved with money laundering and organized crime, and that Robertson's father had once been forced to hand over acres of land to settle his son's drug debts. The U.S. Embassy declined to comment for this article. Immediately after Riley's execution on May 26, 2008, Robertson expressed shock. He praised Riley as a role model for young people. Morning, noon and night, you could always look to him, Robertson was quoted in Jamaica's RJR News. No one has been arrested for that homicide. Suddenly a target. Shortly after Riley's death, Johnson said he became a marked man. According to a police summary of incidents, gunmen shot at him as he drove home from work one night, but missed. They shot at him inside one of his convenience stores, missing him but wounding an employee. Johnson said local police told him they could not protect him. Then, on June 6, 2008, 3 men entered one of Johnson's stores and shot and killed his mother, Hyacinth, while she worked. Johnson took his wife and young daughter and went into hiding. He continued to speak to police, but says he came away with the message each time that there was little they could do to protect him. After about a year, Johnson moved back to his gated house. On the night of July 17, 2009, a gunman stepped out of a car and fired at him as he talked to employees in his carport. Bullets hit Johnson in the thigh, arm, and neck, but the wounds were superficial. A nearby police car rushed over and arrested the driver of the getaway car. The gunman fled on foot. A few days after the shooting, according to Johnson, Robertson himself showed up at his front door, saying he was concerned for Johnson's safety. In the carport, Robertson wrote 2 names on a piece of paper, Johnson said in his sworn statement, and told the Herald, Kyone Treasure Campbell, and the name Guns, which was an alias for a man Johnson knew. But then Robertson crossed out Campbell's name and told me this name I should not pay attention to, according to Johnson. But he pointed directly at Gunn's name and said to me if I killed this man for him, all my problems would go away immediately. Johnson said one.
So no know stay a long time. Patrick Bailey and Paula Llewellyn in the cover-up of murders in Jamaica. Jermaine Jr. wasn't the first. Dr. Bloomfield wasn't the first. Paula Llewellyn and Patrick Bailey has been covering up crime from the days of James Robertson. And this Darryl Vaz a walk and kill way off over. And this Darryl Vaz instruct, lie about. First thing, we don't talk bad about in sinting. We talk about it. Talk about it better so. We talk about it in something too low class. You want to hype it up and tell the public what visa Darryl have. And Darryl can't prove saying a diplomatic visa. But when people talk, them want to take a big stick to you. When you stop walking and chatting people about when you go sue them, please, I beg, I don't, everybody afraid of the foolishness of lawsuit. And not every fool hear about lawsuit, I go run, go shut them out. Idiot like me, we all just chat more, just a chat, I go along so. Wasn't it the same way the other day? When I put out for my golden passport and visa and say nothing, no secret. The nothing don't secret still apply, you know. It really don't gone anywhere. The nothing, no secret still applies. So me no see the problem where you go have, or why you go tell your lawyer say, shut way up because we not talk nicely about your visa. The rant, though, Darryl Vaz, is because your sister, there's a possibility, high possibility, of you losing East Portland, because they hand over the whole parish jail, you know. They hand over the whole parish jail. So it's a possibility that you may lose East Portland. But the East Portland candidate won't have bottleneck over. The truth be told, if the PNP win and him win him seat, he will, in my view, do a better job at Ministry of Justice than Delroy Chuck is doing, given that he understands the problem within the prison system, as well as I think also he would have done a much better job in legal and constitutional affairs than Marlene Malahou-Fort is doing. Because Marlene Malahou-Fort create a new whole type of presidency for we. And she cannot explain what it means. She cannot explain what the hybrid presidency means. But she make it up and create it give it. And we figure walk and talk about it. We figure walk and talk about it, you know. You have to see in a cemetery, she had do it, Shade. You add the inner cemetery to it. Because in a cemetery, she got take people, man. Add the inner cemetery to it. It sentence not done. You have to add the inner cemetery part to complete the sentence. But Darryl Vaz, we know, is guilty of dying, raping, and murdering. We know Darryl Vaz, Pooper, Douglas, helped cover up the crime for Darryl Vaz. You heard the investigation of the James crime, but Paula Llewellyn blocked the prosecution, as Paula Llewellyn always does. Bobby Montague is guilty of raping as well. The fact that them evade justice don't mean they don't do it. The fact that Uno not get convicted no mean we not going to talk about it. Because that's the justice system where Uno manipulate and fix it and bend it and twist it to benefit Uno. So if we will reject is for talking about Uno publicly, so be it. Run come sue me. I plan to pay you £1 a month. £1 a month. They're not the only criminal though. We have a sleeping criminal. Guilty of gang association, as is said in the WikiLeaks document. Head of the Stone Crusher gang. Illegal gun importer into our country. Minister of National Security. Disbursing containers of AK-47 in flanker. Loading up coaster bus, sending off to other garrisons in Jamaica. Yes, they sit in our parliament and them legislate. The East Portland candidate have a pass. Everybody know about the East Portland candidate pass. But these atrocities are full current. Horace Chang distribution I'm speaking about was in 2021. I mean, no Horace Chang bring in container after that. And Horace Chang did tell we say 200 gun a month coming at the country. If him intelligence can't tell him that, why intelligence can't tell him which part the gun them go or who the gun them are come to? But then we found out Horace Chang himself is bringing in 200 gun. What a coincidence, Chang. Your container had 200 AK-47 and your intelligence suggests so 200 gun a month are coming at the country. Horace Chang, only 200 coincidental, so. It's really a coincidental amount of 200, Horace Chang. And then we have a sitting prime minister, guilty as hell. A prime minister guilty for tax evasion. A prime minister guilty for fraud and money laundering. And you mean so una run around and are quoting the moral word of crime like una have integrity? If una talk about integrity, let's deal with the public image of the prime minister at hand. Let's deal with the public image of the prime minister. Because it certainly don't look good for the country. It certainly doesn't look good for the country to have a prime minister in such a high level corruption investigation. To have a prime minister using the court to silence Parliament and the public from knowing. Same thing the Minister of Finance do by stifling the report. See, Bolt finally open his mouth. But the people of Jamaica is not interested in standing up for themselves. Maybe when waiting for a Mother Teresa. But by the time Mother Teresa gets here, it's going to be woefully too late.
Members of Parliament for Western St. Thomas, Mr. James Robertson. Members of Parliament for Eastern St. Thomas, Mrs. Michelle Charles. My fellow councillors, ladies and gentlemen, and citizens of the wonderful parish, good afternoon. I stand before you today humbled and honored to be your mayor. This is not just a victory for me, but for all of us who believe in community prosperity and unity. As your mayor, I pledge to serve each of you with dedication, dignity, and integrity.
And where the blood clot this? And where the blood clot this?
Facing our parish to build a brighter future for our generation to come. I believe in potential of our parish and its ability to become a first-world parish with projects such as the new urban center at the old Goodyear factory.
Transaction which concerned me was the one where the account was opened at NCB.
Mm-hmm.
It was opened with no money in it. And I didn't know you could open an account with no money in it. A couple of days later, there was a deposit of a little over $143,000 US, which came from SSL.
Mm-hmm. Fresh
and
drop.
In the context of the discussions which we have been having about SSL, I believe believe that the Prime Minister explained how and why that money came into his account from SSL. It was deeply concerning to me, and I'm sure that it must be deeply concerning to all the people who not only lost money, but know people who lost money. And you know the number one concern is what happened to borrowed money.
PSOJ, good evening. Let me tell you something. PSOJ. Majority on 99% on PSOJ are white people picking it. And this is no racism. You don't understand what I say. You know white people picking it. You know a slave master picking it. You know the hustlers and the genociders and the barbarous generation. Leave we alone. Make we decide for ourselves. We're knowledgeable enough to make our own decision. And Jamaica people, you must push back and stand against this. If the government plan to legislate it or twist it through regulation or whatever. With dirty white PSOJ, we steal from, we rape we, and then still sit down and have we under economic slavery. Support a proposal for merge Emancipation Day and Independence Day in a one. White people not come out of our business. How much 100 years we in a slavery for white people who not come out of our business? The fact that we are down there together don't mean so we belong to uno. Why you think white people should get involved whether we celebrate Emancipation Day and Independence Day differently? What does it have to do with you, bunch of white people in Jamaica? What does it have to do with you? Jamaica independence is not about white people. What are you all independent from? Even though I'm talking as a general, because we know the thing about independence and emancipation, don't go sucker, we still bind up in our mind by them. White people can mind them business and leave us alone to do our own thing. How much 100 a year and a have we on the plantation? And these Jamaican junker politicians, because the whole of them like to get stuffed and the whole of them like to turn around for a fee. Emancipation and independence have nothing to do with white people. PSLJ must take their mouth out of the conversation. This conversation is about the descendant of the slaves. It's not about you lot. Have enough on now. One thing because of no money. Wanna have talk about everything. The JLP them say, them condemn the fake news about wholeness. Can you outline which part of the news are fake? But then again, as we can see in the IC report, him accept one toto part of it. The part alone was say, where Keisha say, he not prosecute him. That's the only part. That's the only part the Prime Minister prepared to accept. So come to the labor right them, the rest of everything else is fake news, barring the part where Keisha said, me not prosecute him. That's the only part the Prime Minister accepting. Everywhere else, fake. Delroy Chuck and Brian Sykes. Because Brian Sykes, you always in the news. What you ought to do, Brian Sykes, is form a commission that go around, an inspectorate commission that go around the courts within the country, Brian Sykes. Do an audit on the condition of the courts them around the country, Brian Sykes. Where you not have toilet, where creator there in the hole, in the floor them, in the justice system, Brian Sykes. Those are the things that one of the concern about. Because you're not talking about digitalized courthouse and I don't have toilet in there. I don't know, oh, no, so bright and expensive and forward thinking, you know. We don't want digitalized and we have to go to do go piss behind tree. Where go so? Can you imagine? We're not talking about digitalization. Yet still, we don't have proper toilet, we don't have proper restroom or whatever. But we don't quote the great word, digitalization. Another thing, the labor right them going around doing is defending the success of Andrew Holness. But while they're defending it, they cannot tell you what the successes are. Really, really don't make no sense. It really don't make no sense. But the labor them think to say the things they're telling us is pill. And it's good for we, so they must hold we and force it down with throat. And we must swallow it because the pill are going to help with. Jamaica, wake up to the dictatorship. We have been saying this since COVID. This government has become a dictator. This Prime Minister is narcissistic and controlling. I mean, not think really I get it. I not think really believe it. I not think the actions of the Prime Minister validate it as such. Because he's been regularly making those moves against us, you know. This should be the last straw, my people. The way the Prime Minister is using the court to struck down the work of a commission, to struck out a piece of legislation that he helped to pass. This should be the last straw, people of Jamaica. Otherwise, Uno I go very, very sorry.
Robertson's lawyer stated in court papers in connection with the libel lawsuit that the allegation he asked Johnson to kill Kyone Campbell and a man with, alias guns, was not true. The statements made by Mr. Johnson are false. According to police and other sources, Guns is Kamar Williams, a local gangster affiliated with the rival PNP. Leigh Green, the assistant commissioner of police, later tracked Williams down abroad. I met him outside the country, I'm not going to say where, Green said in an interview. The crux of the conversation was that he knew James Robertson wanted to kill him. He knew it was a credible threat. So he fled. Johnson said he worried there would be repercussions for not following Robertson's alleged orders. He believed those repercussions came to fruition on July 29, 2009, when Johnson's most trusted employee, Jermaine Jones, was lured to a friend's home where a waiting gunman shot him. Jones escaped to a nearby hospital. 2 days later, gunmen tried to kill him there. Again, he survived. Johnson and Jones went into hiding. Johnson reached out to officials at the U.S. Embassy in Kingston for help. He also contacted David Rowe, an expatriate Jamaican lawyer practicing in Fort Lauderdale and teaching at the University of Miami, to assist with a bid for political asylum. On November 9, 2010, Johnson gave a sworn statement in connection with the asylum bid over the telephone to Rowan, a court reporter in Fort Lauderdale. Johnson relayed his entire story, which was turned over to U.S. officials. Johnson also released his statement to the Jamaican news media to bring attention to the matter as a form of protection. "If I hadn't released it, I'd be dead," he claimed. Johnson's accusations made headlines days before the JLP's November 2010 annual conference. Robertson marched onto the stage at Kingston's National Arena to defend himself. He called Treasurer Campbell, who was described in news media accounts as a student, contractor and JLP activist, to come on stage with him. The two men joined hands. "This is the man that they say I want to hurt," Robertson declared, according to newspaper accounts. The papers didn't mention that Johnson had said Campbell's name was crossed out. Robertson never mentioned guns. Campbell told the Gleaner newspaper, "I have known Mr. Robertson for more than 10 years and the allegation that he wants me killed is rubbish." A month later, on December 20, 2010, Robertson filed the libel lawsuit in Fort Lauderdale. Robertson withdrew the case a few months later. Rowe declined to comment about the case. Team of investigators. It was only after Johnson's statement went public that Green, the Assistant Commissioner of Police in charge of homicide, heard about the case. He assembled a team of about 6 investigators to corroborate Johnson's statement. Green did not want to publicly disclose evidence because the case is technically still open. According to Jamaican police sources who asked not to be named, the investigation matched ballistics at several of the shootings, and traced cell phone records and car rental receipts that linked Treasurer Campbell to the shooting outside Johnson's house, and cell phone records with one of the gunmen who allegedly shot Jones in the hospital. When police searched Campbell's home, according to the police sources, they found cell phone records between Campbell and Robertson from around the time of the shooting. There were also records of financial payments from Robertson to Campbell. Green arranged to relocate Jones to another country in exchange for his testimony. Johnson left for the United States, but agreed to return and testify. On April 1, 2011, Green sent the investigative file to the Office of Public Prosecutions, outlining the case. Then he waited. Robertson, meanwhile, was facing other problems. A government investigation into a contract to supply natural gas to the island found numerous irregularities. The contract was cancelled and Robertson, under pressure, stepped down as Minister of Energy. He remained in Parliament. Days later, Robertson confirmed to reporters that both his and his wife's U.S. visas had been revoked. The U.S. State Department declined to comment. On June 4, 2011, Paula Llewellyn, Jamaica's Director of Public Prosecutions, responded to the evidence that Green submitted. She sent a memo to Green stating that there was prima facie evidence to base the charge of soliciting murder against Robertson. The memo has never been made public, but was obtained from law enforcement sources close to the investigation, with parts redacted. In a caveat, the memo noted that the case was based on persons who appear to have very significant credibility issues, referring to Johnson and Jones. The issues: Johnson alleges that Robertson is connected in some way to the murder of his mother and believes that Robertson has given orders to have him, Johnson, killed. Meanwhile, Jones appears to be a gunman or very closely linked with them, the memo stated. The memo also offered the recommendation that given the status of former Minister James Robertson and the nature of these allegations, one should anticipate significant challenges in bringing this matter to trial. She was right. In late July 2011, a member of Jamaica's witness security team visited Jones in a foreign country, where he was under police guard. Jones, who had been seeking relocation, was told by witness protection the offer had not been approved by the Ministry of National Security, Green recounted. The next day he was told he was required to appear in court to give evidence. The combination of events scared Jones. He basically walked off the system and left, said Johnson, who was hiding with Jones. Without Jones, prosecutors declined to pursue the case. Through Johnson, Jones declined to comment for this story. In January 2012, Green learned that the Ministry of National Security did not renew his contract with the police department. He returned to Europe. The investigation and its collapse were never reported. Green has never before spoken publicly about the case.
So you have to because Paula refused to prosecute the case, the entire system shut down the case because it got to do with one of them politicians. And this is the type of corruption that our politicians on both sides of the coin get involved in. And this is the prosecutor where the government is fighting tooth and nail in the court as well to protect in order for her to block them from being prosecuted for their crimes committed against us. If Jamaica people don't feel like stand up for themselves, nobody now go come stand up for you. Nobody is going to stand up for you. The FBI are them US Marshals them. Only are going to come when it have to do with them, when they commit crime against them. When them commit crime against UNO, US Marshal no business with them, it's between UNO and them. And UNO have to stand up against this government, Jamaica. And UNO have to show this government that enough is enough. UNO for sure this government say we are one of, we're not the oldest, we are one of the oldest democracy in the Western Hemisphere. And a person claim to be one of us, as him say, I am your brother, I am your friend, I am your family. When I see you, I see me. Is the same person who is taking us back into dictatorship and tyranny that we've been fighting for the last 500 years. Wake up, Jamaica. Don't let Marcus Garvey word catch up with you. Uno only gonna know yourself when uno back against the wall. And please, uno remember to read that document, the Pact for the Future, that new document that has been accepted at the United Nations over the weekend gone. Tomorrow, I won't be coming on for the early program. I have to go back to my doctor tomorrow, and my appointment is within that time slot, so I won't be doing the early program tomorrow. But please, please read this document. It's called the Pact for the Future.
Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, and I want to do a quick update about a document that got passed by the United Nations this weekend called the Pact of the Future document. It's two parts, one on science and technology and one about the youth and future generations. It is quite egregious, and it was done by a procedure called the silence procedure, which makes it a pact. And if no one objected, it is automatically adopted and put into the record as being completely adopted. This is the World Health Organization's runaround, or end around. Since they were not able to get the World Health Organization treaty passed, they decided to take it to the General Assembly.
You know, I spoke to you before about the new pandemic prevention, preparedness, and readiness treaty that they were trying to pass. They have problem. The World Health Assembly, World Health Organization having problem having that passed. So what they do is, it's the same thing that what Wholeness is doing with the NIDS Gallagher. Because they didn't get it passed, they put it in another document and try to implement the same thing or implement it even more rigid. But Shadi, I'm going back to the hospital tomorrow, so I won't be doing the early show tomorrow, but the later ones I will be. So it's the same thing the World Health Assembly do, just put the same aims that them try to reach into another document.
Assembly, and it is even more egregious than what the World Health Organization was wanting to get passed. Let me just read you something really quickly about what is inside of this pact that is now being accepted by 193 nations around the world and equally open-armed accepted by our current administration. Everyone, it says that this is the power structure, fully digital and maximized for the control of the masses. Everyone will be expected to have a biometric digital ID that marks them not just as citizens of an individual country, but as a global citizen. So anytime you hear global citizen or anytime you hear sustainability, think that this is an egregious thing that's happening at the level of the World Health Organization and the United Nations. Anyone that has a dissonant opinion will be labeled as misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation and memory hold. Perpetrators for unapproved information will be fact-checked and punished by the system, which will be operated and enforced by artificial intelligence. Punishments will include being locked out of one's bank account, being unable to make certain purchases, unable to get on an airplane, on a subway, drive on public roads. This is the future, according to the world's self-appointed overlords at the United Nations. These are unelected bureaucrats that are making decisions about our country, our sovereignty around the world. Nothing could be more important at this point in time than to get prepared. Have water, food, digital access, flashlights, a way to communicate with family and friends. Now is really the time to get involved and get prepared because this is what's coming. Our Congress is sitting on its hands. There was a press conference on the 17th about this and no further action has been taken. So it's up to us to mobilize and to go forward, particularly with your local sheriffs, to get your constitutional sheriffs to say, this isn't going to be allowed in my county. Thank you very much. Take action. We've been talking about the onset of one world order, one world government, one world religion, one world money for a long time. Well, it's no longer coming. It's here.
Please, as I ask you, read the document. It's important. The Pact for the Future, the Pact of the Future, one of them, Pact for the Future. Read it. Just type in a Google or touch your mic, Pact for the Future. It's a UN document just accepted over the weekend gone. Yesterday, we've been beating Vaz from morning. Come tell him, say, when him instructing lawyer, don't instruct the lawyer about the visa. Instruct the lawyer to tell us to stop call Diane Smith name, because we're not going to stop talking about the rape and murder of Diane Smith. Cabinet member Vaz. So, when you instruct your lawyer to shut you up, tell him, me say, we want to know about Diane Smith as well. I'm not going to quarrel about the likes tonight. I'm going to just go on about my business. But thank you all very much for being here with us this evening. I hope you enjoy. And those of you, anybody is not aware of the James Robertson video and you want to listen it depends on the channel, then you can listen to it at your own choosing. Thank you all very much for being here. We appreciate your continuous support, even though we implore you to keep liking the channel. And if you have not yet subscribed, please do so. Thank you all very much, and good night from Global Television.
Members of Parliament.
In Google, Shadi, the document is called the Pact for the Future. The show that I did on, not yesterday, So that yesterday would be what? Lord God, we never to remember the show that I did on Tuesday. That document is pinned in the link of that show as well. But you can just type into Google the Pact for the Future. Or if you go on the UN website, the document will also be there, the Pact for the Future. Thank you all and good night from Global TV.
Mr. James Robertson, members of Parliament for Eastern St. Thomas, Mrs. Michelle Charles, my fellow councillors, ladies and gentlemen, and citizens of the wonderful parish, good afternoon. I stand before you today humbled and honored to be your mayor. This is not just a victory for me, but for all of us who believe in community prosperity and unity. As your mayor, I pledge to serve each of you with dedication, dignity,